Hello and welcome to Sew with Christine. In today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to cut and sew a kimono apron dress or a kimono pinafore dress. For this project, you are going to be needing a yard of fabric. You can use any fabric of your choice for making this pinafore. And you also need a piece of bias tape. Now this is optional. You can use your fabric as the bias or you can get this instead. So first of all, we are going to determine the width of this dress and the length. For the width, you're going to use your shoulder measurements. For this, I'm using 14 inches. So the width is going to be your shoulder measurement, which is 14 inches, and the length will be your desired length. I want this to go below the knee a little, just a little below the knee. So I have my full length to be 43 inches. But for the allowance, that's for the hem and the starting allowance, I added 2 extra inches and that gives 45 inches. That means I'm going to be using 1.5 inches for the hemming allowance and I'm going to use half inch for my starting line. Altogether gives 2 inches. Now, you'll cut 2 of these, one for the front and one for the back. The next thing we'll do is to fold our fabric into 2. We're going to fold individual fabric into 2. After folding into 2, I'll go ahead now and roll out my starting line of half inch. This starting line is important here because we'll be needing this half inch for the shoulder seam. Next, I'm going to take out the seam allowance for the side. I don't want this to get to the shoulder tip, that's the shoulder point exactly. That is why we are going to be minusing our seam allowance from this exact 14 inches. On fold now, it's giving 7 inches. So I'll go ahead now and mark my 1 inch seam allowance for this. Then on this side, we'll take the neck width. I'm going to mark 2.5 inches for the neck width. Then for the back, I'm going to come down by 1.5 inches for the neck depth. You can see we have the front and the back together. So from this part, I'm going to come down by 1.5 inches. This is for the back neck depth. Then I'm going to come down here by 3 inches. This is for the front neck depth. Now we are just going to connect the neck width to the back neck depth. Then we'll do the same thing for the front neck depth. We're just going to connect this way. Now for the shoulder slope, at this point, I'm going to come downward by 1 inch from this edge here. Now we are going to connect this way, that's the shoulder slope. So from the neck width, I will just connect down to the 1 inch. Now this part that we have our seam allowance, we're just going to keep this line straight here instead of slanting it. We don't want the seam allowance area to be slanted, so we'll keep this part straight. Then this other area here will remain this way. Now, like I said, we need half inch for the shoulder seam, so I will extend this line upward, keeping it straight. Then I will just draw my half inch seam allowance at the top part for the shoulder. And when you get to the seam, you keep it straight. Now we are going to cut, but when you want to cut the back panel first. You're going to cut the back neckline first because we have the front and the back piece together. If you cut the front one first, then it's going to affect the back. Now we are going to take the back piece off so that we can cut the front neckline. Now that we are done cutting, the next thing we need to do now is to join the shoulders. So we'll place this fabric right side facing right side and we are going to sew the shoulders close. We are done stitching the shoulders. Next that we are going to do now is to hem the sides. You are going to fold your fabric inward this way and sew from one end through to this end. Then we are also going to hem this area as well, and hem this side. We're gonna head to sew these sides You can see what we have here. I'm done stitching these parts up and also the hem area. Now the next part that we'll be working on is to open a slit at the back. I'll fold the back piece this way. Then I'm going to measure downward 5 inches. I'll open this up. If you don't want a slit at the back, then you would have to make your neckline very wide. I don't want this neckline to be wide. That is why I'm creating this slit opening at the back. Next, I'm going to bring in this bias tape. So we'll use this now to tape the back piece. Next, I'll go to the sewing machine and sew on this crease line. Look at the crease line here. That's where I'm going to sew all around this slit opening. This is it, guys. I've gone ahead now to sew this slit opening. So we are going to notch this part. So that by the time we turn this now to the wrong side, it's going to lay very flat and smooth. Now go back to the machine and I'll turn this over, fold this other part in like this, then turn this inward. So now go to the machine and sew on these parts. Then once I'm done, I will do the same thing for this. I'm going to sew this onto this neck area. Alright, I'm done stitching these parts up and I've also stitched this neck area. So on the inside here, I place my loop here, just a single loop. The next thing I will do is to turn this way. So we'll be using this bias tape to cover the loop stitches. So you see the way it is turned. I'm going to sew this way now, all through the neckline. Just fold your bias tape inward and sew around this. Alright, I'm done piping the neckline and this is the loop. The next I'll be working on are the side straps. I have 4 of these cut out already, 2 for one side and 2 for the other side. And I have the length to be about 28 inches and I have the width at 3 inches. So now we'll go to the sewing machine, fold this in 2 and sew. You sew starting from this point, then downward. You leave this part open, so we'll turn the belt from this area. So I've gone ahead to turn these straps and I've also ironed them down. I have the last one here, so I'll show you how to turn this. I'm going to be making use of my scissors. Just take this inward and turn. When this is out, use this tool, whatever tool you are using, to bring out the edges this way. Next, I'm going to iron this. After ironing, we are going to sew the straps onto the dress. So from the shoulder point here, you're going to measure the natural waistline. So for this, I'm using 16 inches. I will mark 16 inches here. I'll also mark 16 inches on this side. Now I'm going to open this up, so we work on this back part first. You're going to take your strap this way and place it onto this area that you have sewn. Let the middle of your strap be on the marked point. So you place your strap this way. Don't let the end of your strap get to this edge. Now I'll go to the sewing machine and stitch onto this line we have here. You stitch onto this line first. Once you are done stitching, you will turn the strap this way. You're going to turn the strap this way and you will stitch onto this area to secure this in place. Let me quickly repeat this. You're going to place the middle of your strap onto the marked line. Now when you place your strap onto the mark, don't let the edge get to this part of the dress. Next, you are going to run your stitches onto this area, following the same stitch you have here. Afterwards, you are going to flip your strap outside this way and sew onto this. So we are done with this, and these are the straps. I'm done fixing the straps. All you need to do is to just tie the side this way. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. I'll catch you in the next one.